My beloved child, do not rush past this moment. Do not scroll, do not skim, do not treat this like the noise you have learned to tune out. This is a holy interruption, and I have placed it in your path with precision. I have watched you wander through days that felt ordinary and nights that felt endless, and I have chosen this breath, this heartbeat, this very glance to mark the turn. Hear me. What you are encountering right now is not an accident of timing or an algorithm of men. It is the hand of your Father reaching into your feed, into your room, into your lineage. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Now is the time. No more delay. You have been shadowed by something that began before you could form words. It tracked your grandparents with lack. It trailed your parents with sudden loss. It circled you with the same scarcity, the same betrayal at the edge of breakthrough, the same sickness of hope deferred, different faces, same wound. You've called it coincidence, bad luck, just how our family is, but I call it by its true name. An old permission stamped in the unseen over a family name I am about to cleanse. What stalked your bloodline will stop at you. Stand still in this moment and let that sentence touch the deepest part of you. It stops with you. I am not asking you to pretend. I am announcing to you a verdict I am prepared to write. Listen, the repetition you have survived is not random. Repeating patterns are trails. They lead to records. Records lead to rulings. Rulings can be revised. There has been, in the shadowed corridors of the unseen, a file with signatures you did not sign, accusations you did not hear, agreements you did not knowingly make, but whose effects you have felt in your finances, your relationships, your timing, your confidence, even in the way your own name sounds to your ears when you say it aloud. I am the Lord who sees records and rewrites them. I open what no one can shut. I shut what no one can open. When I say enough, the corridor that trapped your fathers becomes the doorway you walk through. So do not turn away, because I am about to lead you in a progression that matters. First, I will teach you to recognize the pattern, so that what once shamed you becomes a mapped clue. Then I will expose the hidden permission, so that what once ruled you is pulled into the light and stripped of power. After that, I will issue a decree over your name, a covenantal reversal that changes what your family can carry, and then we will seal it together, in prayer, in declaration, with your full agreement so that the ink of heaven dries on your story and cannot be smudged by the hands of hell. Your agreement is the pen, your yes is the stamp. Your refusal to partner with the old is the breaking of the seal that held your house bound. My child, feel my protection around you now. I am not here to condemn your history, but to claim your future. I know the fatigue in your bones, the suspicion that maybe nothing truly changes, but I am closer than your doubt and stronger than the story that has haunted your house. I am here to restore your name. Open your heart, slow your breathing, and whisper with me, I receive the turn. Say it again, even softer. It stops with me. Let your fingers, even now, write a simple declaration you can see with your own eyes. I agree with God's new story over my family. This is not theatrics, this is alignment. This is the hinge on which a house swings open. Remain with me. What comes next will make sense of what came before. I am taking you by the hand, and together we will walk from recognition to revocation, to decree, to sealing. And when this moment closes, it will close as a gate behind you, and a new road will run ahead bearing your family name, clean, strong, blessed. Now, my child, let me show you what I have watched with a patience you did not know you had. I have watched the pattern repeat, different faces, same wound, and I have felt the wince in your spirit when it circled back again. I saw your grandmother hide money in a jar in the back of the freezer, because every time harvest came, A sudden bill or a broken pipe consumed it. I saw your father take a job that almost paid enough. Always almost. The interview that went well until the last call that never came. The way the car chose the week of hope to refuse to start. I saw you step near doors that looked open. Acceptance letters, new contracts, reconciled phone calls, and then felt the floor soften under your feet at the edge, as if someone tugged the rug just enough to make you steady yourself on the wall. Different faces, same wound. I see the quiet vows you made in childhood, whispered while lying awake. I will not become this. I will not do this to anyone. And I see the nights in your 30s or 40s when a phrase slips from your mouth that you remember hating on someone else's tongue, and it scares you. How thin the line can feel between distance and repetition. I know the burn of anger you swallow so hard it aches, and the other days when it breaks out of you quick and hot, leaving apology piled on apology, but the atmosphere never quite changing. I know the secrecy that has stalked your house, the hidden tabs on a browser, the private bottle tucked behind cereal boxes, the family stories edited at the table, the bank statement you only look at with half your eyes open because you are braced for shame. I see how you try to be strong, how you put on cheer for the children, for the spouse, for the co-workers, and then sit in your car in the parking lot breathing slow so the tears do not tip your day into a flood. I know the exhaustion of praying the same prayer in a different year. January after January, you set alarms, you make lists, you budget, you promise, this time will be different. And by March, an old demand devours the margin, and a familiar heaviness settles in like dust you keep wiping, but that keeps returning. I see you fast for 7 days and wonder on the 8th if you failed, because the email you hoped for did not arrive. I also see the small acts of courage no one applauded. You called the counselor, you turned off the lights, and chose to sleep when the old habit beckoned. You answered the phone when reconciliation would have been easier to let ring. I am witness to all of it, not to condemn, but to count, to weigh, to gather into my hands a record the darkness cannot twist any longer. Hear me, the repetition is a clue, not a chain that cannot be undone. What repeats leaves footprints. Patterns, however stubborn, are trails. Trails lead to doors. Doors have hinges and locks. Locks have keys. You have interpreted the cycle as a sentence stamped across your identity. This is just us. This is just me. But I am telling you it is a map. The same style of setback showing up at the same stage. The collapse at the edge of breakthrough. The friendship that warms, then ices. The promotion that lifts, then slides. The illness that flares right when joy returns. These are not proofs that you are doomed. They are markers that an old door has been opening the same way for generations. What opens can be shut. What is shut by me cannot be pried open by the hands of hell. Do not despise the data of your life. Do not shame yourself for noticing what hurts. Recognition is not agreement. It is inventory. When you say, "It always happens when I take a step towards stability," you are not cursing yourself, you are pointing at the seam. When you admit, "We go silent when we need to speak," you are putting a finger on the hinge the enemy has leaned on. When you confess, "I fear I will become what I hated," you are naming the shadow so it cannot shape you in secret. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Ephesians 6:12 says the struggle is not against flesh and blood. It is not only the boss who overlooks you, not only the bank fee that bites, not only the mood that swings. It is a debate in the invisible about who has the right to write your days. Look with me at the places where poverty has cycled through your family. Grand projects half built, great ideas never funded, paychecks stretched like thin cloth, generosity offered but not reciprocated. Look at addiction's pattern: binge, shame, apology, promise, quiet, then another hidden spiral when loneliness pricks. Look at abandonment: dads who left, moms who stayed but went silent, friendships that fracture when truth is needed most. Look at anger, rooms that hold the echo of slammed doors and words you wish you could spool back into your mouth. Look at sickness, diagnoses dancing from one generation to the next, bodies that falter around the same age, ailments without clear medical reasons that nevertheless repeat. Look at secrecy, wounds never said aloud, abuse hinted at but never exposed, finances handled like a private battlefield. These are not random waves, they are currents, and currents have sources. And I see you, my child, tracing these rivers with trembling fingers, wondering if awareness makes you weaker. Hear me, awareness makes you armed. What can be traced can be confronted. What can be confronted can be revoked. Shame wants to close your eyes and call it moving on, but healing begins where eyes are open and hands are steady. I stand with you as you look. I steady your elbow. I clear your sight. I am not asking you to accept these patterns as permanent. I am asking you to acknowledge them as evidence. Evidence leads to hearings. Hearings lead to verdicts, and I am a just judge who delights in mercy. So breathe. You are not broken beyond repair. You are discerning a door. You are not cursed beyond hope. You are locating the hinge that has creaked through the decades. The repetition is a clue, and I am the one who reads clues until they become coordinates, and coordinates until they become a key in your hand. Stay with me. We will name the permission next, but for this moment let your heart settle into this truth. The pattern is visible, which means it is vulnerable. Even now I am turning your recognition into leverage. Even now I am preparing to close what stayed ajar. Now, my child, let me place my finger on the hinge itself. You thought it was your personality, your temper, your timid streak, your spender's heart, your loner ways, your always late, your suspicious mind. You thought it was how you were wired, a fixed temperament etched too deep to dislodge. But in truth, it has been a permission, an old, unseen agreement that gave the cycle the right of way, a standing enter here sign fastened to your name in a place you could not see. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to awaken you. I am not exposing you to shame you. I am exposing the loophole so I can close it. A cycle persists when it has permission. Today, that permission is being exposed so it can be revoked. Invisible permissions are not fantasies. They are the after echoes of words spoken and vows made, the residue of altars raised in pain, the reflexive decisions formed in trauma that hardened into law in your bones. I will never need anyone. I will always be the strong one. Money always leaves me, so why try? Men can't be trusted. Women will always abandon. We don't talk about feelings in this house. I'm just bad with numbers. We survive. We do not dream. These sayings were not harmless wallpaper. They were signatures. Each one entered as an exhibit in the unseen courts, a small line under a long document the enemy loves to wave. Ephesians 6:12 has already told you that your wrestle is not with flesh and blood. The quarrel is about jurisdiction. Who has the right to say what your family name is allowed to become? When a child is cut by a betrayal and whispers, "Never again," that vow can turn from a shield into a cage, barring comfort along with danger. When a teenager is mocked for asking for help and learns to wear competence as armor, that armor can become a policy that refuses provision when heaven sends it through people. When your grandfather called himself cursed and your mother called herself too much and you called yourself a problem to be managed, these confessions did not simply bounce off the air. They were gathered. Accusation is a collector. He files, he timestamps, he returns to the same paragraphs whenever you approach the threshold of change and says, "Objection, Your Honor, by their own mouth they restricted the verdict." You thought the tremor you feel at breakthrough was stage fright, but in truth it was an old claim standing up to block the way. Hear me. I know the difference between personality and protection mechanisms. I crafted your true temperament, your tenderness, your sharp mind, your humor, your fire, your carefulness, your spontaneity. Those are my brushstrokes. But the cynicism that keeps punishing hope before it can lift its head, the explosion that arrives whenever you sense authority, the spending sprees that follow rejection like thunder after lightning, the silence that drops over you whenever truth knocks. These are not my brushstrokes. They are overlays. They are agreements forged in self-defense that became permissions the enemy has exploited. They were birthed to keep you alive in a room of danger. They are not needed in the new house I am building with you. I tell you again, do not be afraid. You are not helpless in this revelation. Galatians 3:13 declares that Christ has redeemed you from the curse, meaning there is no permanent lock attached to your bloodline that I cannot unlock. John 8:36 promises that if the Son sets you free, you are free indeed, meaning the freedom I give is not a mood swing, it is a legal status that overrides prior claims. You are walking through an invisible battlefield, yes, but you do not walk unarmed. My word is your brief. My blood is your counsel. My spirit is your witness. The gavel in my hand is not ornamental. It falls. Let me show you how permissions were granted so you can recognize their shape when they try to dress as just how I am. When you repeatedly confess over your life, I am always late to favor, you are attesting to delay as identity, not as circumstance. And delay hears that and assumes a right to sit at your doorstep. When you resolve, I only feel like myself when things are chaotic, you are enthroning chaos and writing a welcome to crisis. When you accept the label, our family is hot-headed as a badge, you are handing anger a key. When money is called dirty, generosity is called foolish, and abundance is mocked as sellout, you are feeding an altar that repels what you were designed to steward with integrity. Altars are not only tables of stone, they are the patterns you honor with repetition, the places where you return to rehearse the same griefs with no intention to heal. There have also been permissions you did not personally sign, contracts pledged in fear by those before you, debts entered in despair, rituals engaged to get quick relief, alliances with secrecy that made silence appear virtuous. I see them all. Do not carry shame for what you did not choose, but do not remain naive about their echoes. An old oath can hum beneath the floorboards, even when the house is remodeled. This is why I am pulling up the planks. This is why I am tracing the wiring inside your sentences. This is why I am adjusting the settings on your identity, so that what once let darkness pass will no longer respond to its knock. My beloved child, this revelation is mercy, not menace. I am not interested in humiliating you. I am invested in liberating you. I am placing in your hands an understanding that turns the tide. Patterns linger because they have permission. Revoke the permission, and the pattern loses its legal standing. What does this look like? It begins with seeing the vow for what it is and saying, no more. It continues with allowing me to rename what you have misnamed. Cowardice called caution, rage called passion, suspicion called discernment, scarcity called stewardship, pride called boundaries. I do not condemn boundaries. I authored them, but I will not permit counterfeits to live under holy labels any longer. Even now, where you are, let your heart whisper with mine. I was not born for this bondage. I was not named for this cycle. I release the old vow. I agree with truth. Do not overthink the feeling. This is not theatrics. This is alignment. The file the accuser carries is losing weight as you stop feeding it with your own mouth. The court hears the change. The angels take note. The river that ran through your house is meeting a dam of decree. We are not yet at the formal verdict. That will come and it will thunder. But understand this, exposure is already reversal in motion. The hinge is revealed. The screwdriver is in my hand, and what has swung open for generations is about to refuse the enemy's key. Stay with me here. Keep your eyes open to the phrases you repeat without thinking, to the labels you wear when tired, to the ways you explain away your royalty as if humility requires self-harm. I am gentle and I am thorough. I will not leave you half-free. The name on your mail is precious to me. The permissions that trespassed under that name are losing their case. Now is the time. No more delay. My child, the name on your mail is not the only name being targeted. The letters that arrive at your door carry a surname stitched with stories, some true, some twisted, some whispered by rooms that never met you but felt they knew your kind. Generations have breathed into that name. Hard work and laughter, yes, but also lack, losses, and labels. I have listened to how men said your name with a tilt, how opportunities paused when they heard it, how even your own heart sometimes sighed when you had to say it aloud, as if the syllables were heavier than they should be. Hear me. I authored your identity before any human registry recorded it. My naming is higher than man's labeling. Isaiah 62:2 says, "You shall be called by a new name that my mouth will name." I tell you this not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Your name is a gate, and I am here to restore its lock and its light. Labels are gates. Untrustworthy. Always broke. Men in our family don't stay. Women in our family suffer. We're bad with money. We never finish what we start. We don't belong in rooms like that. Every label is a chalk line drawn around your future, a spoken boundary that tells blessing, stop here, and tells sabotage, walk right in. Words are not soft decorations. They are keys and codes. When a household rehearses a label long enough, the atmosphere learns the password, and the same thief enters by the same door. Proverbs 18:21 reminds you that death and life are in the power of the tongue. Accusations have used your family's tongue as a stamp, but I am the one who breaks seals that were never mine. Look at how these labels have shaped your decisions, like stealthy hands guiding a steering wheel. When promotion approaches, an old sentence rises. People like me mess it up, and you arrive late to the interview or forget to send the follow-up, and you call it not meant to be, when it was a label pulling a lever. When kindness knocks, a whisper says, "They will leave," and you push away the one who was going to stay just to prove the whisper right before it can be proven wrong. When money lands, the drumbeat, "We never keep it," starts, and your hands race to spend what your heart doesn't think it is allowed to hold. So your reality matches the chorus. When conflict comes, the family script says, "We go silent," and silence becomes a policy that protects dysfunction while intimacy starves. When stress bites, the old vow, "I must handle it alone," slams a door in the face of the help I sent, and loneliness is mistaken for nobility. You have called some of this intuition, my gut, just how we are, but it has been training under a false name, and when a false name commands, the true self shrinks to fit a costume it never liked. Hear me. You have been living under a borrowed identity. The enemy rented your name with forged papers and furnished it with hand-me-down labels. Black sheep, rescuer, problem clown, invisible one, rage machine, the dependable one who never needs, the crisis manager who never rests. I am evicting that tenant. I call you by names older than the slander: child, heir, steward, cycle breaker. John 1:12 says, "To all who receive me, I give the right to become children of God." Romans 8:17 declares that if you are children, then heirs. Heir means you are not auditioning for crumbs. You are receiving a portion with your name engraved. Steward means you are not the one who loses what you touch. You are entrusted to multiply what I place in your hands. Cycle breaker means you are not conscripted by yesterday. You are the turn in the river, the hinge in the hallway, the one who makes a new, normal glow. When identity is restored, the door the cycle used to enter begins to close. The old access code was your agreement with a false label. The old badge was the costume you wore to be safe. Accusation has stood in the courts and said, "Their name authorizes me," and waved your family's phrases as exhibits. But Revelation 12:10 speaks of the accuser being thrown down, and Galatians 3:13 of Christ redeeming you from the curse, meaning this: I can strip the enemy of your badge and invalidate his code. Think of it like this: systems have recognized you under an alias. The moment I correct the record and stamp you with your true name, the old door does not respond. Where sabotage once walked in like a neighbor with a spare key, the lock now clicks. Where shame once paid rent, it finds the lease terminated. Where poverty once claimed squatters' rights under that last name, a notice is posted. Ownership has changed. This restoration is not only poetic, it is profoundly practical. A renamed heart makes different choices. A child does not grovel for bread, they ask. An heir does not binge on scarcity, they plan with wisdom. A steward does not flee from success, they structure it. They tithe, they save, they bless. A cycle breaker does not accept poor treatment, they set boundaries without rage and choose peace without passivity. Under your true name, you will send the invoice on time. You will return the call instead of ghosting to preempt rejection. You will read the contract and ask for clarity. You will schedule the appointment instead of living with the ache. You will choose friends who honor rather than drain, because your label no longer says dumping ground. The landscape of options widens when the label on your soul is lifted and replaced. Let us act together. Take your name in your mouth, first name and last, and say, I return my name to its maker. I renounce every label not authored by God. I receive my name as child, heir, steward, cycle breaker. Do it softly if you must, but do it truly. If you can, write your surname where you are, and next to it write, faithful, fruitful, favored, trustworthy, whole. Let your fingers write down a declaration that seals this within you. My name is restored. I agree with heaven's record. Do not think this is theatrics. This is administration. Your agreement is the pen. Angels record what you sign with your mouth. Understand the order of what I am doing. Identity is the battleground because covenants are enforced over names. What is being restored in you is not only how you feel, it is how heaven files you, how verdicts reference you, how doors recognize you. A covenant rewrite is the legal act that changes the outcome for all who carry your name. We will go there, we will open the file, we will address the record, and I will issue what the enemy cannot appeal. But first, I settle you in who you are so that when the verdict falls, you can bear the weight of blessing without handing it back to the labels I just removed. Delay has felt like silence to you, but it has been the time in which I taught your heart to answer to the right name. Now is the time. No more delay. Stand in your restored identity and feel the old door begin to close. My child, hear me. Delay was not my silence. It was my protection while I prepared you. What you called waiting, I called weaving. What you labeled left unread was the hour I was strengthening the places that used to split under pressure. Delay is not the evidence of abandonment. It is the space in which I reshape your wings before you fly. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to awaken you. You thought the pause meant you were forgotten. In truth, the pause meant I would not throw you into a fight without the armor fitted, the sword balanced in your hand, the shield large enough to cover those who will stand behind you when your family line runs to your courage for shelter. Consider with me the mercy hidden inside my not yet. There are blessings that lift only those who have the spine of stewardship to bear their weight. Money given too soon to one trained by scarcity will feel like an accusation they must hurry to disprove. It runs out like water poured into a cracked jar. Influence handed to a soul still bargaining with rejection becomes a platform for panic. The applause feeding a hunger that was never meant to be fed by crowds. Marriage without healed attachment turns covenant into a hospital where both bleed without a surgeon. Leadership placed on a heart that never learned to say no will rescue until it collapses, serve until it erases itself, promise beyond capacity, and call it love. Even peace, yes, even peace, landed on a nervous system that equates calm with danger, will feel like boredom, and sabotage will be invited just to make the familiar noise return. My not yet did not withhold kindness. It refined capacity. I have never required you to be enough. I have made you able to carry what I am giving. In the waiting, I enrolled you in a school you did not know you had entered. I taught you to read a contract without rushing, to ask clarifying questions without apology, to set a boundary without rage. I trained your no to be a guardrail and your yes to be a vow. I asked you to tithe when there was little, to save when desire shouted, to sow a word of encouragement when you felt dry, to show up on time to a small meeting as practice for large rooms. I turned you from secrecy to confession, from isolation to counsel, from numbing to rest, from over-promising to integrity. What you called delay, I have called alignment. I am laying the foundation before I build the house. Psalm 27:14 says, "Wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord." You waited, and while you waited, I strengthened the joists of your identity, so the blessing would not cave your floor. Do not misunderstand me. Delays have also been contested. When a bloodline pivot is near, opposition swells like a storm hugging the shoreline. Ephesians 6:12 has told you the struggle is not against flesh and blood. At the threshold of change, emails misfire, opportunities are postponed, misunderstandings multiply, the car tire hisses the day of the interview, the child gets sick when reconciliation is planned, fatigue wraps around you like a wet cloth. This is not coincidence, it is resistance. The accuser has stood and waved old exhibits, whispering to your soul, "See, nothing has changed," hoping your agreement will reissue the permission I am revoking. But while the resistance argued, I assigned angels to hold the line, to nudge the schedule, to recover what was diverted, to keep you from doors that glittered but were wired to explode. Daniel 10:13 speaks in shadow forms of such delays. Understand, I was never late, I was never absent. I stood so near I could feel even the sigh leave your chest. I counted your tears. Psalm 34:18 says, "I am close to the brokenhearted. I have been close, nearer than your own thoughts." I watched you wake earlier than the alarm to whisper, "Help." I saw you put the phone down instead of texting what would have reopened a grave. I noticed the day you deleted a contact, the night you turned off a tab, the afternoon you chose a walk instead of a drink, the moment you apologized without self-hatred, the hour you asked for help and felt small but were in fact immense. I have kept a record of these small braveries. They are not small to me. Each one has been a strand in the rope I have been braiding, the rope you will throw back across time to pull others out. Hear me again. Delay was me, shielding you from premature exposure, false alliances, predatory deals, and covenants that would have signed you into years of cleanup. Some doors closed because they were traps. Some faces turned away because their loyalty was to your bondage, not your freedom. Some once-in-a-lifetime chances were dressed in urgency because they could not survive the light of prayer. I have not been cruel, I have been meticulous. I will not build with rotten lumber, even if the paint is fresh. Isaiah 59:1 says, My arm is not too short to save, neither is my wisdom too shallow to restrain. Now look at yourself with my eyes. The waiting has formed a different gait in you. You do not sprint at every shout, you discern the voice. You do not spend against tomorrow to heal a feeling today. You steward. You do not confuse chaos with aliveness. You bless calm and call it holy. You do not lash out at truth. You welcome correction like oil on your head. You do not chase rooms that will not honor you. You build tables and invite the humble. Your hands can hold what your bloodline could not. Your heart can remain soft while your spine stays strong. Your mind can carry complexity without drowning. The old river met a dam inside you. The water is being redirected into fields that will feed your children's children. Because this capacity has been formed, the court can now issue a different verdict over your family name. Files that once carried evidence of volatility now carry evidence of endurance. Where the accuser said, they are impulsive, the record shows patience. Where he insisted, they are untrustworthy, the ledger shows late nights of integrity. Where he argued, they cannot hold blessing, pages shine with faithful stewardship. The hearing is shifting, the gavel is moving toward your favor. What you felt as a holy nudge has been heaven alerting you. The clerk is editing, the seal is warming, the decree is near. Let your mouth agree with me even now. My waiting was not wasted. My training was protection. I receive capacity. I bless the not yet that guarded me, and I step into the now that honors what you have formed. Go ahead and let your fingers write down a declaration even where you are. I was aligned, not abandoned. This is not theatrics, this is administration. Your agreement is the pen, and angels note what you sign with your words. Take courage, my child. Take heart. The season of hidden preparation is giving way to revealed purpose. No more delay imposed by lies you once believed. No more rushing that outran wisdom. Walk with the pace I taught you in the waiting. The verdict is changing the terms under which your name is recognized. Hold steady. What tried to crush you will now be carried with grace. Listen to me, my child. Be very still within. A file is being opened and it carries your family name across the tab. The books that men cannot see are sitting on a bench that does not tilt, and the record is being read aloud to a court that does not sleep. Daniel 7:10. Accusations presented, answers issued, claims rehearsed, claims contested, permissions once assumed, permissions now revoked. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to awaken you, what you have felt as a holy nudge, this recent restlessness you cannot shake, the unusual weight in your chest when you hear certain words, the dreams that revisit the old house yet show new doors, the same phrase surfacing from 3 different mouths in 1 week, the sudden clarity about compromises you used to defend. This is the summons. The clerk has spoken your name. Heaven is alerting you. The record over your family is being revised. You have wondered, why can't I ignore this time? Because I have moved your file from a drawer marked routine to a desk marked immediate. Think of the patterns that used to lull you into resignation, how they now grate like an alarm. That discomfort is not punishment, it is evidence. It is the light above the courtroom door turning from red to green. It is Psalm 139:16 in motion, the days written in my book being edited for fulfillment, not futility. When conviction presses you to delete a number, to decline a deal dressed in flattery, to confess what secrecy protected, do not call it anxiety, call it attendance. You are present for your own case. Behind scenes you cannot enter with your feet. I have stationed operators. Angels move like skilled clerks through the corridors of systems that have long ignored your name. They brush dust off files on the desks of men, the kind of dust that pretends a case is too old to matter. They flag archived emails, recover applications, lost in transit, surface resumes at the top of stacks. Place your proposal in the path of eyes that once skimmed past your surname without seeing you. They nudge a scheduler to reslot a meeting you missed by seconds, prompt an underwriter to reconsider a line they marked risk, stir a relative to remember a land deed, a teacher to remember a recommendation, a judge to notice a discrepancy in a record that held you longer than justice allows. Do not be surprised when a call comes from a number you tried for months to reach, when a credit you were told was impossible appears, when a no revises itself to let's talk, when an apology knocks on a door you thought sealed. This is not random. This is administration. Psalm 103:20 speaks of my angels, who excel in strength doing my word. They are not sentimental, they are efficient. Understand the mechanics simply. A covenant rewrite is not mystical fog, it is precise law. It means the spiritual permission the enemy used to enter is rescinded. The identity he referenced is corrected in the record. The trajectory he dragged your house along is redirected. Permission changes the locks. Identity changes the badge. Trajectory changes the map. Where there was an open corridor marked abandonment, I am sealing it and carving a new corridor marked adoption, John 1:12. Where the header once read house of scarcity, I stamp in red house of stewardship and overflow, Psalm 23:5. Where the accuser waived your family's admissions like contracts, I present a higher document. Colossians 2:14 testifies that the record of debt is canceled, its legal demands nailed to the cross. I do not argue sentiment. I render verdict. Watch the proceedings. The accuser recites, they said, we never keep what we get. Their grandfather swore, I'll die bitter. Their mother vowed, I will never need anyone. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. He parades your worst days as if they were your only days. I rise as judge and redeemer and answer, objection, new evidence. I present your waiting with integrity, your late-night restraint, your quiet acts of generosity no one saw, your apologies made without excuse, your budgets crafted when impulse burned, your decision to forgive when vengeance felt holy. I call my spirit as witness. I call the blood of my Son as the seal. I call your transformed capacity as demonstrative proof. Isaiah 54:17 declares that your heritage is vindication from me. Zechariah 3 whispers this moment, filthy garments removed, a clean turban placed, accusations silenced. The gavel does not shake in my hand, it falls. But hear me clearly, I do not sign alone what you refuse to countersign. I will not force-feed freedom to a mouth that still whispers, we are this way. Your agreement is the pen. Faith that is never expressed is like a seed never sown, alive, but unable to multiply. Romans 10:10 says with the heart one believes, and with the mouth one confesses. That confession is not performance, it is participation. Do not partner with the old story by repeating its slogans while asking me for a new verdict. Break agreement. Say with me, I revoke the permissions I gave in fear. I renounce the vows I made in pain. I receive the covenant written in better blood. I answer to my restored name. Act in small, precise ways that match the decree. If the old file said you ghosted when afraid, send the reply. If the old file said you borrowed recklessly, make the call to consolidate and plan. If the old file said you hid when ashamed, bring a trusted voice into the room. If the old file said you were bad with money, enroll in the course and tithe with faith. If the old file said you always choose chaos, choose the quiet and do not apologize. These are not mere behaviors. They are signatures. Let your fingers write down a declaration even now. My family record is being revised. I agree with heaven's edit. I accept the new header over my name. Go ahead and speak your surname aloud and add, under a new covenant, faithful, fruitful, favored. Go ahead and like this moment with your mouth. Let your own ears hear you choose life. Proverbs 18:21. My child, feel the shift in your chest. That is the verdict nearing. Feel the clarity in your mind. That is confusion losing its license. Feel the gentleness entering your language. That is identity finding its true tone. Now is the time. No more delay. Stand with me as I initial every page the enemy thought he owned, and watch as angels carry the amended file into the earth, aligning systems with what heaven has recorded. Do not drift back into the bleachers of passivity. Stay in the witness box with courage. The edit is real, the seal is warming, and your agreement is writing the final line. My child, do not partner with the old story. Your agreement is the pen. I have told you what is happening in the unseen. Now I put the instrument in your hand. Words are not decoration, they are alignment. What you repeat in fear becomes a contract that authorizes visitation from what you dread. What you declare in faith becomes an altar that invites the presence and pattern of what you believe. Hebrews 11:3 says the worlds were framed by my word. In your measure, your world is being framed by yours. Proverbs 18:21 is not poetry for wall art. It is policy. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Romans 10:10 testifies again. Believing and confessing are not two different faiths. They are one motion, heart and mouth in covenant. I will show you the subtle partnerships that have slipped past your guard, the quiet signatures you did not know you were writing. You expect betrayal and call it prudence, so you test love until it fails the exam you designed to prove your prophecy right. You budget in hopelessness, writing lines for this will go wrong and not for seed, not for training, not for overflow. You pay every creditor, but not your future. You choose relationships that match the pain in your family record. Leaders who withhold because a withholding father wrote your script. Partners who are half present because half presence feels like home. Friends who only call when the siren sounds because crisis feels like company. You call disaster normal. That's just how it is for us. This last name gets no breaks. Men in our family don't stay. We never keep anything good. Peace never lasts. And the atmosphere obeys your normalization like a thermostat set to winter. You laugh at your chains because the joke is cheaper than the counsel. We're a mess, LOL. My toxic trait is we're cursed. We're broke but funny. And your laughter signs what your fear has typed. Hear me. These are not harmless coping slogans. They are extensions on leases I am canceling. Each phrase is a pen stroke that reissues permission to an intruder I am evicting. When you say, I always mess up the bag, you deliver a memo to your hands that they may drop what I place in them. When you whisper, people like me don't get rooms like that, you post a guard at your own door who turns you away with a politeness that feels like fate. When you mutter, it's safer if I don't need anyone, you weld a lock onto your own rescue and call the isolation strength. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Identify the contract language so you can cut it. Now, replace it with what is true under the new covenant. Open your mouth and say it with me. I am not cursed, I am called. I am not repeating, I am rewriting. I am not surviving, I am becoming. I am not reckless, I am a steward. I am not a liability, I am a trustworthy heir. I do not chase chaos, I choose covenant. I do not fear increase, I am formed to carry it. I do not hide my name, I bless it out loud. My house is not a hallway for abandonment, it is a table for adoption. My surname is not a punchline, it is a banner. Faithful, fruitful, favored. John 8:36 says the Son sets you free, so speak like one who is free indeed. Practice agreement that matches the verdict I am issuing. Bless your surname aloud in the morning. Under the blood of Jesus, say it. I bless you to hold blessing, to walk in honor, to remain in covenant. Frame your budget with hope, a line for generosity, a line for savings, a line for skill building. These are not numbers. They are declarations in digits. Frame your conversations with honor. Ephesians 4:29. Let your words build. Do not rehearse catastrophe as if it were culture. Frame your dating and friendships with clarity. I am worthy of consistency. I will not entertain pattern matching to my pain. Frame your work with courage. Send the follow-up. Ask the question. Request the raise. Stop narrating your disqualification. Each action is a sentence added to the new story. Each refusal to perform the old script is a clause that shuts a former door. Do this with me now. Your mouth is the on-ramp. Say, I revoke every fearful contract spoken over my life and through my lips. I cancel the lease I granted to shame, to scarcity, to sabotage. I sign with faith. I align my speech with heaven's record. Let your fingers write down a declaration even here and now as a sign of agreement. I choose the new covenant over the old cycle. Type your surname and then write, under a new verdict. This is not vanity, it is participation. Go ahead and like this moment as a marker that you agree. Share it to the one who carries your name or your story. When you release a word of freedom, you become a channel of it. Let your own ears hear your mouth building an altar of truth. Altars call what they honor. Be alert to the old language when it knocks tomorrow. When the phrase, "Here we go again," rises like a reflex, answer, "No, here we go forward." When you're tempted to predict a fall the moment you feel joy, answer, "I welcome lasting goodness. I do not sabotage peace." When you want to say, "It's not that deep," to escape the work of healing, answer, "It is that deep because it is covenant." When the family chat spirals into memorializing dysfunction as identity, be gentle but firm. We have a new verdict. Let us speak like it. You are not performing positivity. You are enforcing policy. Your tongue is deputized. Pay attention to humor. It is a backdoor. Do not consecrate curses with a wink. Do not call relapse our brand. Do not badge yourself with sarcasm that makes rot fashionable. Instead, let gratitude become your accent and clarity, your cadence. Psalm 19:14. Let the words of your mouth and the meditation of your heart be acceptable in my sight. Acceptability is not about tone policing your pain. It is about refusing to enthrone it. This is the bridge, my child. Agreement prepares your mouth to testify. Now your mouth will be used to inaugurate what I have written. You have renounced. You have received. You have aligned. Hold this confession steady like a lamp in your hand. In the next breath, I will speak the decree that cancels the pattern and installs the new terms over your family name. Stand ready. Be still within. Now hear me. Now hear me. This is the sound of a verdict falling. Now is the time. No more delay. The record is corrected. The seal is warming. The chain is snapping. The permission that once escorted darkness into your house is revoked. The labels that made your name a target are stripped. I speak as judge, as father, as kinsman redeemer, and I render my decree over your bloodline. You will not carry what your fathers carried. You will not bow to what your mothers bowed to. The pattern breaks here with you under my hand. I cancel the accusation that called your family a house of poverty. I cancel the script that trained your hands to drop what I gave you. I cancel the terror that made you sabotage joy before it could root. I revoke the licenses granted to instability, to inconsistency, to chaos that dressed itself as excitement. I revoke the vows made in pain. I will never need anyone. I will never forgive. I will always fend for myself. I overturn the precedent that normalized addiction as comfort, secrecy as safety, abandonment as destiny. I overturn judgments spoken over your surname in anger, in jest, in resignation. I restore to your line a good name, for Proverbs 22:1 says a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. And I give you both honor and provision. I establish new terms, covenant loyalty in place of leaving, order in place of turbulence, stewardship in place of squandering, light in place of hiding, dignity in place of shame. Hear the reversals with clarity. Where poverty laid claim, I decree provision, resource matched with wisdom, streams not puddles, budgets that bless rather than bruise. Where instability rattled foundations, I decree order, habits that hold, calendars that guard, rhythms that restore. Where addiction coiled like a serpent, I decree dominion, appetite mastered, cravings submitted, sober joy for many days. Where abandonment carved hollows in the heart, I decree covenant love, presence that stays, houses that hold, friendships that finish. Where shame draped like a shroud, I decree honor, shoulders lifted, eyes that meet, speech that carries weight. Where secrecy built false walls, I decree light, gentle confession, trusted counsel, healing without spectacle. Where premature loss stalked your calendars, I decree long life and wisdom, gray hair crowned with joy, years restored and multiplied, like Joel 2:25 declares, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. I speak this not as poetry but as policy. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises in judgment you shall condemn. This is your heritage from me, says Isaiah 54:17. I inscribe this across your threshold and on the lintel of your mind. I cancel the weapon of gossip. I cancel the weapon of self-contempt. I cancel the weapon of poorly learned coping disguised as culture. I revoke the permit for generational fear to enter at night. I overturn case law that said, this surname always falls in the same ditch. I restore the ground where you were dispossessed. Land, opportunities, relationships, credibility. I establish angelic patrols around the doors that were once revolving, and I fix the hinges to remain shut to what once had easy access. What does reversal look like under this decree? It looks like you answering emails you used to avoid and seeing favor meet you there. It looks like a budget that tells the truth, savings that breathe, debt plans that diminish month by month, giving that flows from joy and not from pressure. It looks like you saying no without rage and yes without panic. It looks like you leaving the party early to protect the morning and no one calling you boring because your peace begins to instruct the room. It looks like choosing counsel before crisis, therapy before explosion, confession before cover-up. It looks like dates that respect your boundaries and friendships that do not require you to shrink. It looks like 8 hours of sleep becoming the new rebellion against your family's old adrenaline cult. It looks like credit repaired, licenses reinstated, records expunged, apprenticeships begun, classes finished, proposals accepted, promotions earned. It looks like laughter untainted by contempt. It looks like holidays without dread. It looks like your children finding you steady and your elders finding you kind. Do not think it strange when outcomes appear uncharacteristic for your line. This is exactly the sign of reversal. The door that always slammed at the last minute remains open. The person who always flaked remains consistent. The deal that historically unraveled at signature holds fast. The body that always buckled under stress recovers faster and stands longer. The mind that always descended into spirals now remembers truth and climbs out. The gatherings that always ended in shouting end in prayer and honest conversation. The bank account that echoed emptiness now tells a different story. Provision parked, plans funded, generosity scheduled. This is not you faking it. This is you living under a new verdict. Therefore, I speak identity over you in the language of new creation. If anyone is in Christ, new creation. The old things pass away. Behold, new things have come. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Hear me. Your family's always is not your identity's forever. I rename your patterns according to your new nature. I cancel impulsive and write discerning. I cancel reckless and write faithfully bold. I cancel hard to love and write safe and steadfast. I cancel scattered and write anchored and fruitful. I cancel never finishes and write finisher and builder. I restore the word trustworthy to your file. I establish your surname as a banner that signals blessing rather than burden. Let this decree be read into the record. No more delay. The appointed time to favor you has come. I sign beneath what I have spoken, and I stamp it with the blood that speaks a better word. Angels who excel in strength do my word. Carry this verdict into systems, into calendars, into conversations, into algorithms, into offices, into courts of men. Align outcomes to the decree spoken here. Disable ambushes, highlight pathways. Sustain the yes I have issued until it becomes flesh in their life. And you, my child, receive this not as a wish, but as a verdict that changes what your family name can carry. Lift your head and agree. So let it be over me and my house. Begin to walk as one authorized. Keep your tongue with the policy I have pronounced. Guard the peace as treasure. Honor the boundaries as gates of the city. Steward the increase as evidence that my word does not return empty. In the next breath we will seal what I have decreed. Prepare your heart to renounce the old entirely, to receive the new joyfully, to pray with your whole self as one who stands under a changed verdict. Do not rush. Be still within. Let the decree settle like foundation stone in your chest. Then we will pray, and I will press my seal upon this house. Be still within, my child, and come near. I am here. The decree has been spoken. Now we seal it together. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath slow. Let your heart rise to meet me. I will guide your mouth, and I will answer with my seal. Do not strive for perfect words. I hear the intention that leans toward me. Place your hand on your heart if you can, and pray with me, line upon line, truth upon truth. Say, Holy Father, I come. Pause and let your soul step forward. I come into your light where no shadow can pretend to be truth. I confess my sins without excuse. Forgive me for the ways I have agreed with darkness in secret and in public, through my words, through my choices, through my avoidance, through my pride, through my fear. Forgive me for dishonor, for resentment I held like a trophy, for lust and escapism, for manipulation dressed as self-protection, for envy that poisoned gratitude, for wastefulness that mocked your provision, for unbelief disguised as wisdom. I do not hide. 1 John 1:9. You are faithful and just to forgive me and cleanse me from all unrighteousness. Cleanse me now. Now, my child, let us address permissions. Speak after me. In the name of Jesus, I renounce and revoke every agreement I or my house has made, spoken, unspoken, remembered, or forgotten, that authorized darkness to traffic in my life. I renounce every oath of fear. I renounce every vow of self-hatred. I renounce every alliance with shame. I renounce every agreement with lack, with the myth of not enough, with the culture of scarcity. I renounce the inheritance of violence, words or hands. I renounce the inheritance of abandonment, leaving early, leaving often, leaving in the heart though present in the room. I renounce the inheritance of addiction, substance, secrecy, adrenaline, chaos, approval. I renounce the lie that I must sabotage good before it can leave me. I renounce every bitter root I watered with my own tongue. I renounce the vow I will never need anyone. I renounce the vow I will always fend for myself. I renounce the curse we never keep anything good. I renounce every identity that does not come from you. Breathe. These permissions are canceled. These leases are terminated. These doors are shut by the blood of Jesus. Now, forgiveness, the key that turns the lock. Say, Father, I choose to forgive. Name it or hold it before me. I see. I forgive my father and my mother for the ways they failed, what they could not give, what they would not give, and what they did not know how to give. I forgive partners who betrayed trust. I forgive leaders who used and discarded. I forgive friends who vanished. I forgive myself for the years I lost while learning. I release their names from my courtroom. I cancel their debt to me. I turn them over to your mercy and your wisdom. Ephesians 4:32. As you in Christ forgave me, I forgive. Forgiveness is not denial. It is deliverance. I drop the case I kept revisiting. I end the argument I rehearsed in my mind. I bless and release. Let your jaw unclench. The gavel is lighter when you set it down. Now take the legal basis, not feeling, not effort, blood. Say, Lord Jesus Christ, I receive your finished work as my only righteousness and my entire claim. Galatians 3:13, you redeemed me from the curse by becoming a curse for me. Colossians 2:14, you canceled the record of debt and its legal demands. You nailed it to the cross. I come out from under every counterfeit covering and stand under your blood. I confess with my mouth that you are Lord, and I believe that God raised you from the dead. By this I am saved, justified, and transferred. I renounce the spirit of slavery to fear. Romans 8:15. I receive the spirit of adoption by whom I cry, Abba, Father. I am no longer an orphan wandering through rooms that do not fit me. I am your child in your house, under your covenant. Now identity restored. Speak it so your bones can hear. I receive the name you call me. I am a child of God. I am an heir, not a beggar. I am a cycle breaker by your spirit, not by strain. I am a wise steward, not a reckless spender or a fearful hoarder. I am a bearer of peace, not a carrier of chaos. I am trustworthy. I am diligent. I am anchored and fruitful. I am safe and steadfast. I am a finisher and a builder. My surname is blessed. The header over my file reads, Faithful, fruitful, favored. I wear the garments you give, honor for shame, joy for mourning, praise for heaviness. I agree with your voice over every other voice. Let us reach forward and speak to those who will come after you. Say, Father, I bless my descendants and all those grafted into my line by blood, by marriage, by covenant friendship, by mentorship. In Jesus' name I declare, they will not inherit my bondage. They will inherit your wisdom and favor. They will not repeat our old cycles. They will enjoy our redeemed inheritance. I bless them with clean appetites, steadfast minds, and gentle strength. I bless them with healthy attachment, covenant loyalty, and holy ambition. I bless them with skill, creativity, and stewardship that multiplies blessing without sorrow. I speak protection over their identities and clarity over their callings. Psalm 112, mighty in the land. The generation of the upright will be blessed. Let this be their portion. Now seal this prayer with tangible agreement. I invite you, my child, to enact what you have said. Right now, write one clear declaration that carries the new header of your name. One sentence you can stand on when the wind tests the wall. Let your fingers write, your surname stands under a new covenant, faithful, fruitful, favored. Or write the sentence I give you in your spirit. Then speak it out loud so your room becomes a witness. Then send it to one person who needs hope. one who shares your story or your name. When you release a word of freedom, you water your own garden. Go ahead and mark this moment. Plant a flag. Faith that is expressed becomes form. Now listen as I place my seal. I press it in love and authority. I mark your doorway with the blood that still speaks a better word. I assign angels to enforce the terms. I restore to you the joy of salvation and the dignity of responsibility. Peace comes upon your mind now like warm oil. Clarity stands in your hallway. Courage wakes in your chest. I call this prayer not a whisper, but a filing, received, stamped, recorded. Amen, amen, so let it be. Before we rise, hear my counsel for the aftershocks. The old pattern will file one last appeal. Do not mistake its noise for new authority. When an old appetite stirs, answer it with the decree you wrote. Speak it out and choose the small, faithful action that matches it. When shame suggests you were foolish to hope, answer with testimony, what I have done and what I am doing. When fatigue tempts you to default, pause, breathe, and call a trusted voice. Light loves company. Keep short accounts. Quick repentance, quick forgiveness, quick gratitude. Guard your mornings and your money with order. They are gates in this season. Keep this prayer where your eyes can find it. Read it until your nerves agree with heaven. Do not isolate. Share progress and pressure with those who can pray and plan. Remember, the verdict has changed. You are not trying to earn it. You are learning to walk in it. Rise slowly now, my child, under a sealed covenant. I am with you in the details and the days. The story has turned. In the next breath, I will coach you how to stand when the old knocks again. But for now, keep your peace, hold your head, and let your own ears hear you say, "It is finished over me and my house." Now, my child, here is how you stand when the old knocks again. Do not be startled by the sound. It is not a sign that your prayer failed, but that the eviction is being enforced. Appeals often come after verdicts, surges of temptation, sudden arguments that feel older than the room you are in, strange bills that aim to spike your adrenaline, old shame strolling in wearing a familiar tone. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to awaken you. You are not back at the beginning. You are at the doorway, and the knocking is noise, not new authority. Remember Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. The forging may clang and spark, but the strike will fail. Answer the knock with the verdict, not with emotion. Open your mouth and recite what we have written together. Keep the decree where your eyes can find it, on your mirror, in your wallet, as the first note in your phone. Morning and evening. Give me 2 minutes of agreement. Read it aloud. Bless your surname. Thank me for enforcement. When a wave hits at noon, step aside for 60 seconds. Breathe and say, "The verdict stands over me and my house. I revoke nostalgia for chaos. I remain in covenant peace." Your mouth is a gate. Guard it and use it. Psalm 19:14. Let the words of your mouth and the meditation of your heart be acceptable. Acceptability now means alignment with the record we filed. Build small boundaries that reinforce big freedom. Guard your mornings. No screens before scripture. No rushing that sells your peace for a minute. Put order on your money. 1 weekly budget review, 1 automatic transfer to savings, 1 line of generosity that reminds your soul, we live from abundance, not from panic. Guard your body. Sleep like it's holy, because it is. Eat what gives clarity instead of fog. Move your body as a protest against stagnation. These are not self-help chores. They are covenant habits that teach your nervous system the new normal. Invite witness into your process. Secrecy is where the old script rehearses. Tell 2 trustworthy people what verdict you stand under and what pattern you are refusing. Give them permission to call you back when they hear you narrating the old story. Consider counsel. Wisdom is not an emergency room visit, but a regular appointment. A therapist, a pastor, a mentor, someone qualified to help you sort, plan, and heal. Proverbs 11:14. Victory is secured in a multitude of counselors. Accountability is not surveillance. It is scaffolding while the house is being built. Refuse nostalgia for dysfunction. The old cycle will dress up your memories, highlight the rush of chaos, the way crisis made you feel needed, the bite of sarcasm that passed for intimacy. Do not sip that sweetness. It is poison with a sugar rim. Choose the quieter joy, boring peace, faithful schedules, laughter that does not hurt anyone when it lands. Edit your playlists if they pull you backward. Change routes if they lead you past altars of old appetite. Delete numbers that carry traps. Unfollow what disciples your desire away from life. Sober-minded is not joyless. 1 Peter 5:8 is strategy. Be sober, be vigilant, not anxious, but aware. Reframe delay as process one more time with me. Fruit grows in seasons. I am not only breaking something, I am growing someone, you. What we decreed today will show itself not just in fireworks, but in rhythms. Weeks where your budget breathes, months where your sleep returns, quarters where your credit rises, years where holidays become safe. Measure miracles in patterns, not just in peaks. Habakkuk 2:3, though it tarry, wait for it, it will not lie. What you call slow, I call rooted. Psalm 1, planted by streams, leaf that does not wither. This is your picture now. Keep a record of reversal so your future self has evidence. Write down small wins. The invoice paid on time, the boundary kept without drama, the apology offered without shame, the consistent week in the gym, the night you turned your phone off and slept 8 hours, the day you said no to rescue drama that is not your assignment. These entries are stones of remembrance. When protest rises, you point to the pile and say, "Look what God has done." Your memory is part of your armor. When the appeal feels loud, return to the prayer, replay it, pray it again and again until your nerves unclench and agreement returns. Save this message, bookmark it, come back to it when the room feels crowded with voices. Let your environment help you stay aligned. Go ahead and subscribe and turn on notifications so I can keep building you in this cadence. Think of it as setting a bell that calls you to prayer in the middle of busy days. Share this word with the cousin or friend who carries your name or your story. Fountains do not run dry by pouring. They find their source stronger. Do not negotiate with old appetites. Do not debate with familiar shame. Answer both with truth and action. If lust knocks, confess, step into light, change the inputs, take the practical step you have avoided. If overspending tempts, delete the card details, carry cash, give yourself a 24-hour pause. Wisdom is not fear, it is structure. If anger flares, excuse yourself, breathe, pray Psalm 141:3, set a guard over my mouth and return when your words can heal more than they harm. If loneliness whispers that any company is better than none, remind your soul that covenant love is worth the wait and fill the hour with strengthening work. Read, call a safe friend, learn a skill, serve someone. Sow where you want to reap. Above all, believe me, you are not the exception to my promise. You are the beginning of a new story. I do not merely tear down altars, I teach you to build houses. I am fashioning you into a pillar, not a firework. Steady, luminous, carrying weight without collapse. I will walk you through the tedium of transformation and the thrill of testimony. I will teach your hands to war and your fingers to build. I will open doors that stayed shut and close doors that leaked sorrow. Angels still enforce the terms. My spirit still reminds you of everything I have said. My mercy follows you like a faithful shadow in noon sun. So when the old pattern knocks again, stand in the new verdict. Hold your peace. Speak the decree. Choose the small, faithful action. Gather your allies, tend your rhythms, refuse nostalgia, measure in seasons, return and replay when needed. Stay near, stay teachable, stay steady. The verdict over your family name has changed, and you, my child, are living proof. Now go forward, faithful, fruitful, favored, and I will meet you in every step.